Faisal Malik Daniel. Muhammad Faisal is a business advisor at Faisal Malik & Co. and the chairman of Small Medium Practice, Malaysia Institute of Accountants. Faisal has 22 years of experience in financial and corporate advisory, learning development, and strategic consulting. He serves various financial positions in Fortune 100s within the region prior to business venture. He's also a certified business mentoring for mentors from Entrepreneurship Development Institute of India, EDII, and certificate entrepreneurship in emerging economies of Harvard Business School. Wow, from Harvard, eh? His core credentials are business mentoring and strategy, governance, accounting, financial analysis, risk management, Islamic finance, investment, and financial modeling. With this illustrative career, best. So I hope you will give a very good topic today. Business leadership role and survival crisis on COVID-19. It's much needed now. So without further ado, Mr. Faisal, I pass to you for your starting of the presentation. Okay. Hello.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Rida. Okay. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Very good afternoon to all my intelligence audience, fellow members. A little bit of disclaimer here, basically. This is just for sharing only, and it's merely my personal opinion. It doesn't stand for any association's view. Right. We've moving into the third month of the MCO here. Okay. We understand that most of the SME, I understand that this professional fraternity is merely meant for the professional associations, which is largely contribute with the members of the SME, comprises of any varying sectors, which is 9 sectors as per mentioned by Mr. Rida just now. We are all in a grief, I would say, worldwide. Okay, a bit about myself. Basically, 20 plus years in the industry. The first 10 years, I served in several MNCs. Begin with the audits, and I went to Shell. Also served in Asia Pacific. Later moved to the Samdebi Group and UNW Group at Toyota. Later, then we moved to the running on own start practice. 2008 is the big hit for me. Big hit to the business and personal life, I would say. During the subprime of 2008, it hurt us badly, where most of our clients are unable to pay their fees. So those are the things that really impacted us. We are nearing bankrupt, I would say, at that time. So we back up really fast. The hope is only thing that we have, and hard work. We start to venturing into some other things which is related to our core credential or expertise that we have. Likewise, what professional having now. Okay. So from there, a few years down the road, we able to, I would say, get our first million, and then it goes the story passer. Okay. I understand that this corona or COVID-19 has traveled around the globe, and the last count that it affected nearing 200 countries within the short span. Okay. It taken most of the countries by surprise, and sort of motion to mitigate. And stuff of deadly spread that can ultimately lead to death. Okay. Okay. All right. Okay. This is the topics that I'm going to share today on the business leadership role and survival in crisis of COVID-19. They are, for the past 2 months, we've been running. I think PSPN itself has done a good job, and many other fraternities are covering lots of topics on the technical of how to go about in surviving modes. On surviving mode, on the technical part of it. Okay, so today we would like to go into the leadership aspect on it. Leadership aspect on it. Some industries took a dive, namely like airlines, travel, inbound, outbound, hotels, accommodation, oil and gas industry, the stock markets, automotive. Not forgotten to the professional services as well. But on the positive sides of it, section goes to the growth of the essential industry, like a food, F&B, sundry household, online business, deliveries, entertainment, and whatnot. Yet some industries took a dive, and some industries on the positive side of it. So I believe that we are professional. We sit in the middle of it. We are the service provider. So if the client's in a good position, in a good shape, and the business is good, technically we gain benefits. We gain the direct benefits through it, basically. Okay. The highlights here is that technically what I'm going to cover here is actually what does the companies normally do during the COVID for the past 2 months. Everyone is busy in fixing up respective practices of the companies. So I will share some of it. I'm not going to cover in details on this because I believe this has been deliberately well covered during for the past 2 months or within internally the company. What we're going to focus today is actually more on the leadership roles, on the business leadership roles. Okay, managing cash flows. The companies were in the financial difficulties. If you're in the financial difficulties, you tend to do to revise your cash flow position, whether you can sustain or not the companies. But then the statistic shows that nearing 80% of SMEs unable to hold for more than 2 months. The study by ECF, and later more studies done by it has widely produced published in the mainstream media and not. Okay, the second one, the company tends to perform a financial health check on respective organization, okay, the financial position, assets, liabilities, and all, and then they start to do the forecast revision of budget based on the current situation. Okay, much debate on this. Some are doing revision of budget for 6 months up to December, and some are not that robust. So what they do is actually more conservative approach that they have to do the revision of budget up to 12 months, meaning that up to 2021, considering the
Hello?
technical part of it. I'm not going to cover on that. Okay. Okay. The next thing is statutory reporting. Some of the fraternity might need to adhere with the statutory reporting requirements. So these are the things that keep them busy, engaging with the rightful authorities, and then they start to negotiate, engage and negotiate with stakeholders, especially some of the fraternity like architect. The one that I know is actually they have more project for the government, so to negotiate payments from the government projects. And as for the accounting wise, the SAP or small medium practice are more into the peer-to-peers, which is more directly engaged with the clients. So clients is the paymaster. If clients, which is among the SME, are those who are affected the most, it somehow give an impact to the SME itself. Okay, and then they try to revisit the critical success operations. This also depends on the type of practice. Okay, if normal SME, they have processes, they have products, they have people to look into it, they have IT, they have digitalization to look into it, marketing, staffing, by perform a manpower audit and such. Okay, then have to revisit. This is what the company does. And then some of the companies, they perform a stress test. They do conduct scenario planning. The what if scenario, if you want to make it easy. So what if the MCO were to prolong another 2-3 months? What if? And what if my firm unable to get the funding, say our SRF funding? What if my staff? What if the what if scenario? That is the stress test. Rightfully, the stress test should be done much earlier, once a year or twice a year. But we rarely do this because this is COVID-19 is really unprecedented crisis, I would say. Yes, but then this stress test is something like essential for company to look into it. Then they were, in simple terms, the what if scenario, and then they start to develop the mitigating strategy, which is the possible contraction, taking into consideration the possible contraction demand globally, locally, that which leads to the severity in economy and business, mitigating how to overcome on internally in case that certain things, certain processes, certain payments, certain clients no longer in business. What are the mitigating strategies that need to be taken by the practices of the companies itself? And then number 9 is this the perform analysis, name it either financial analysis, SWOT analysis. For those who are not familiar with strength, weakness, opportunity, threat analysis, they can just take a strength and weakness analysis and what are the threats. So you may list down and start to choose what best and applicable the most to your organization. Okay, and the OSTT, objectives, strategy, tactical, and tools. What are the best tools that you can adopt for now to keep your business going? Let's say, for example, are you going to keep that 30 staff that you have, or are you to maintain big? Or you want to maintain small? Or you want to go like a collaboration? You want to go like a project basis? Name it. And so this is the best to do the storming session, okay, within the directly impacted parties within your practice, or other financial management analysis and the other risk analysis associated with it.
Wow.
Yeah, that including the what we call it manpower audit also. Okay. Yes, Rida, you were saying something?
Yeah, Faisal, looking at this, all this, what does company do? If like me lah, SME, small MSE, I can only get to number 3 only.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, you are not alone, man. You are not alone. There are many more practices out there. That's actually, we have a very long list of. It depends on the complexity of the business. Means that the bigger the business are, let's say the last listed company, they have a very long list of checklists. But for I massage this and tailor-made for SME that relevant the most. These are the areas that we might need to look into it. You might not need to go into these details, but then having an idea of what to go through is good enough, I think, and to have a better view.
So today's talk is very good for all the participants to have an overview of the 10 things that they can actually start preparing or planning for their business. Yeah.
Correct. But we are not covering these topics for today. I'm just like recap. Okay, technically this is what the company do on the technical part of it.
All right. Okay.
Okay. So this is partly and others and the rest. Okay, the rest that there are other critical areas that need to look into it. It depends on complexity of respective firm setup, basically. Okay, next is so what we're going to focus today is actually into these 3 areas: business leadership in action, business leadership at glance, roles, leadership in the workplace. So the business leadership and the business it takes a different definition from today's onward. Okay, it's no longer about the normal leadership defined as leadership is about influencing and giving an influence to the people. Business leadership takes bigger roles today, bigger roles for tomorrow's onward. Okay, the changes are very paramount for the next 8 months down the road. Okay, the new normal, what the things that people say now. Right. I would like to throw a few questions for participants to have thoughts in mind. Probably if you have a piece of paper, you may write yourself here. So what are your leadership approaches? Okay, you don't have to ask me what are those, but I ask you first. If you have any, you please write. Okay, what are your leadership level and your leadership roles? If you have a piece of paper, you may write it later. We're going to discuss on this. Okay, and then the next question is, what are your organization culture? Okay, that's the next question. And then how do you react with present crisis? So let's be honest, you just write it yourself. You don't have to spell out here or share in your question later. But just how do you react? Because you see people around, how do they react? Okay, how do they react? Okay, emotionally or rationally, or come back with solution. Let's say, for example, okay. So let's move to the next.
That's very interesting. That's very interesting page, Mr. Faisal.
Okay. All right. Okay.
If we can get the participant to write some of their points inside the question, also quite good,
yeah. Correct.
All right.
Okay. This is the leadership approach model. I would like to use this model rather than issues that is the accountants the one who do this. It sounds like it's a management thing. No, it is not. Okay, it's not. So we accountants like today, we are about managing values. It's no longer figure crunching. It's about managing values. And the principle of the managing values, it has been championed like for many years ago, for many years, more than 10-15 years ago. So it goes beyond figure crunching. So I believe other professions also, they have the G's. So I remember hearing sitting for top of the talk from architect fraternity. He pointed out very good points. Yeah, leadership. The first one is situational characteristics. Okay, when we receive during the COVID-19 crisis, okay, what are our approach towards our people and our stakeholders as a whole? When we make decision, what are the characteristics that we are using? So are we using the leadership characteristics alone? Let's say, for example, that why I use the red is more dominant. So a person, usually the business owner, the SME, the professional fraternity, they have this characteristic which is a strong red. Strong red is a dominant character and dominant or goal-getter. So technically, these are the people who are very difficult to get others' opinion. Technically, including myself, I must admit that. Okay, but then in managing the business or entities, that we need to have the empathy elements. Okay, we need to get some inputs from the followers, which is a team characteristic. So do we have a team players characteristic with us or not in our in the way we lead our organization? And do we put up or consider some of the situational characteristics in our decision-making process or not? So especially the real test is during the crisis test. So the real test is not during the normal test. So I cannot give an ideal question for you to answer, and the people will put an ideal answers to it, a question, and people start to respond with the ideal answers. It is not never such. So it comes with a very critical, very pressuring situation, and then only we can start to see what kind of leadership approach that we demonstrate. And this can be tested, and this can be getting feedback from the team, or from the companies, or from the association, or from someone that you work closely with. And the group of people that you can see in the middle there is what we call it the locus of leadership. If we are able to be in this or close to this, that will be the best approaches actually. And part of this leadership approach is actually extracted from the Islamic leadership approach as well, adopted by the Sayyidina Umar ibn Khattab, the most 5 influential individuals in century. That one wrote by the Michael A. Hart. I will share more on this later. Okay. Let's move to the next slide. I will share. All right. While this is leadership level, we wanted to say that at which level that we are actually in terms of leadership level before we start to identify or know ourselves first. Okay. Coming back to leadership approach, one of the things that we don't want is actually we try to escape is the blaming approach. We have the situational approach, we have the followers approach, or team approach, and we have leadership approach. But the approach that we would like to avoid is actually the blaming approach, because the negativity will definitely kill the creativity. Right, the position level here. Let's go through here. You may want to read further on the John Maxwell five level of leadership strategy, and Michael A. Hart here. You may want to go through on this to get a better view of it. The first level is actually the position level. We all go through this. People follow because they have to. This is not a leader, but they got leadership position. It is by position. So they could not be a real leader. The setback is that people usually don't give leaders, or don't give you the very best of time, effort, and mind. So it's normal that people don't like to follow people because they have to. So they have to follow because of the position, because of the money, I would say. Okay, you have staff in the team, you have people, you have project. People agree with you because of the position level, not really much on the other. It is because of DRM. And then you know that because of that, you will never get the best out of it. We will never get that. Okay, let's say the simple task is actually, let's say in our office, that clock out is supposed to be at 5 p.m. And then by 4:30, the staff start to like clean up all the table. They start to go to the toilet, clean up the desk. 4:50, they start to do the tax. They live to do that because it's different feelings, you know, texting before and during the office hour and texting after the office hour. There will be difference. Jokes part of it, that one. Okay. And by the time it's already 5 on the dot, everyone disappears. Zoom. Okay. As a leader, you start to confuse yourself that how on earth that it could be possible that 5 sharp, this the stuff disappeared. There are 2 scenarios, whether that is this first scenario or they stay because they have to. It is not by productivity, but because of the position level. Okay. And the next thing is the permission level. Okay. Let's go to the next is permission level. Okay. Permission level. Okay. The next stage is people start to follow because they want to. It is you have the position, but they want to follow you because of what you are. You are the supervisor by position, but they want to follow you. They like you. Not to say that leaders have to be likable, no, but they follow you because they admire you. They know you have the empathy. They know that you are a good listener. They know that you can learn something from you. You have values to offer. Okay, now there is more on permission level. At this level, that makes your job much easier because to work with someone like you, they feel that much easier to work with you, and as supervisor, you feel that comfortable to work with this staff. You feel that you can put up more job because they honor the responsibility of the job. Okay, they listen well, they're conscious about their people, and thirdly, they learn from the people and they acknowledge it. Let's say, for example, that they meet your staff name Abu. I learned something from you today lah. On Preze, it's something from me. All this why I'm using PowerPoint, let's say, for example. So given in that scenario, how does the Abu feel? Abu will feel great, definitely. Imagine that kind of culture that we calculate in our organization, our small organization, that we have 10 staff, 20 or 50 staff, but those are the culture that we embed in our companies. And during this COVID-19, during the crisis, there will be a different scenario altogether. The tense will be much lower than a different culture that we set in our organization. All right, that is on the permission level number 2. And you go to the next level, which is most of us here, I believe, as a professional, and you start to produce. Okay, you're a superstar, you bring business, you are a state of example for your people to follow. People want to follow and emulate you because of you are the leaders, you walk the talk, you are the law of attraction. You solve many problems, and that's what the managers do. You're unstoppable. You're about to produce your own. You do very good in what you are doing. So you have the momentum. That is you start producing the productivity. So these are this is the level, the third level that we have. And then the next level is actually then you start to develop people. Okay, for SME, you start to grow your company by developing your people. So for SME, we know I'm in that position as well. That it is not easy to recruit, and it is not easy to train, and it is worse to retain the talent. We all knew that. Okay, being SME, we are not large corporation, although we were there once. We really hope that they stay. We really hope that they produce their level best. So in the smaller firms, this leadership display of the demonstration of leadership level is very much sought after, actually. So we need to close touch with your people because 80% of the success of the SME, I would say, very much depends on our people, actually, the talent building that we have, or else we cannot have we will have a sleepless night during normal hours. In normal situation, we will have a sleepless night. I'm not talking about the peak hours, peak time. Right? Successful people always position themselves really well, and this is what your team see in you. Okay, you are at the people development level. You are givers. You give. People start to feel comfortable, and you are being admired by your people. Right. And the fifth level, if I were to make it easy on the level 1 to 4 here, step 1 or level 1 is I do it. Step 2 or the permission level is actually I do it and you are with me. I do it, you follow me. You look what I'm doing. So the productive level is actually the step 3 is you do it, then I'm with you. You do it, I'll monitor you from the distance. And the people development level is more like now is the time that you do it. You just do it. The trust is with you. You know your stuff, and I put my trust in you. That is on the people development level. The next one is actually the respect. So after all the level that you have achieved, I'm not here. Most of us are not here. Probably the great leaders or the great leaders that we know. Whether we like it or not, they are already at this level. They meet like someone like Mandela, Atum Mahathir. You might have different political views, but I mean, we know that up there, we know that they are being respected. Right? Tuan Guru Haji Abdul Hadi Lim Kit Siang. So in counter fraternity, we have few names. In architects, you have Tan Sri Esa. I meet Tan Sri, Tan Sri also registered here. All right, Assalamualaikum Tan Sri. Okay. Those are the people figure that already achieve at this level. They have already developed more people, more successful people, and they are now at the highest level of giving this. Right, this is on the leadership level. So a small thoughts to probably something that we can ask ourselves: where are we now at this level? Probably that then only we can work best to move forward. To move
Quite
forward.
interesting, Mr. Faisal, because
Yeah,
the
yeah,
one that
yeah.
in terms of the leaders that you mentioned just now, respect, they the names, they are already doing a lot of things. They did a lot of
Yes,
things throughout their life to actually
correct.
get that respect. But another one, just being a devil's advocate, in our culture itself, some crave for respect because they feel entitled to be respected. It's because due to seniority, due to age, those kind of things. Will that
I think
actually reflect to the productivity?
I tend to agree with you, Reda, but moving forward, is you did that shall pass lah. The evolve of the corporate cultures have already significantly improved as compared to like 20 years ago. You know, by rank, by seniority, it's already start to irrelevant. Though it still exists now, but then it started to be like irrelevant. And it may impact the productivity if leaders somehow, we ourselves, let's say for example, or someone already that they crave for the respect, they are not changed, they refuse to change, they will be shy off from the industry. That certainly, I would say, certainly in time.
Yep.
Is it okay? Dah?
Okay. And then we will revisit that discussion again.
Yes,
Towards the end.
yes. It takes
Yeah.
a long discussion and debate there. All right, just
Yeah.
know. Okay, and then the next question that I asked earlier, based on the questions, is what are your business culture or values? We need to know. We need to know where our the company's position is actually. What are the culture that we have here, respectively?
Are you still there, Mr. Faisal? Hello?
Directly, we reflect the same culture. They will bring the same culture. Yes, the same culture because they came from the different, from the same school of thoughts, I would say. Right? Let's look at this diagram here. So look at the first one, which is diagram. I want to go through here. There's a parameters here. The degree of risk associated with the company's activity and the speed of feedback from the market. Okay, let's look at the tough guy or macho culture. If you want to read this further, I quote the source there, Strategic International Management by Doug Moshet here. Okay, tough guy or macho culture. Okay, this type of culture is actually the success or failure occurs very fast for this type of culture, or culture or business entity or nature of the business. The acts of individuals or owner will cause an impact to the company. Let's say, for example, that venture capitalist companies or media companies or management consulting companies. These kind of companies, they focus on the speed, but not for the endurance. They want it fast, but they are not for endurance. The nature is like that as such. Okay. Later, end of this, for this business culture, you may want to size up your company or your character. That where are we? It's actually where are you here? Okay, which category are we? Okay, the second one will be back your company culture. the degree of risk associated with the company's activity is very high, and the speed of feedback from the market is very slow because it takes a very big decision. It usually occurs to the large setup, big conglomerates, big companies here. The impact may take years. It may take a big decision, but the impact may take years. Let's say, for example, the oil and gas, the construction of the platform might take 2-3 years, and the ROI start to churn in the next 5 to 10 years. Plantation, mining, they don't need the speed. Okay, after much research has been done, they kickstart the project. They don't need the speed, so bet the company, right? And then the third one is actually work hard, play hard culture. It's a sales-oriented company. For example, it is more like a retail, fast-moving consumers, and the feedback comes on daily basis because it's small items, small things, and usually feedback doesn't reflect to the companies at all. That is why the degree of risk is very low. The speed of feedback is fast. You don't like the food, you can give feedbacks to the Nestle, for example, or Milo, your Milo, you receive expired Milo, let's say, for example, or cereal, something went back to the cereal. It does not give an impact to the Nestle because it's a fast items. It's lower risk, and it's a small friction on it. The items are small friction. Okay, this is type 3, right? The next one, the last one is, and last but not least, is the process culture. The companies or in the market where literally none or little feedback from the markets. Okay, process culture. The risk is very slow, and the feedback from the market is almost like very slow as well. I think this one you can give a guess. Probably, perhaps. Right? But the worker, the little room for growth and expansion of ideas, and the worker may be demoralized. So out of these 4 segments, what are the segments of our company or your company are? Where are you here? Di mana Anda sini? Where are you? Okay. If I were in a bad company culture, can I, in this COVID-19, let's say, for example, bad culture, which is I'm a big, I have a practice of 100, 150 to 100, let's say, for example, in SME perspective, I'm a big now. Okay, I'm a big player in SME context. Okay, risk is high, but I don't need to have to speed. But due to this COVID-19 crisis, I might need to readjust or reinvent the wheel a bit on my business model or setup. That can I go to work hard, play hard culture? Can I move into that? I leave it to you. I leave it to you there. So you have a setup. Can you change the way you work? Can you co-collaborate? Can you coexist with others? Can you carve out? Can you bring your people, partners, more on the profit sharing basis rather than paid basis? I don't know. I leave it to you. Yeah. Okay. What are business culture? And can you change your business culture? That's the question that I would like to pose. Yeah. Moving forwards for survival.
Wow, this diagram, Mr. Faisal, is very powerful. This diagram, it looks just like a four quadrant, but you can actually know if you place yourself, you know what's your position now.
Yes, rightly said, Reda, because if we are the hardcore on certain segment only, we are a believer into one segment only, we might end up having trouble or problems here. It goes back to the tall order. Okay, I leave it to you to have
it's such like you can actually do a self-reflection towards what your position is now in terms of your business.
Absolutely. And are you willing to change, or do you really need to change? The next question. That is the next question.
This is the scenario planning method, right, Mr. Faisal?
Partly, yes.
Partly, yeah. It's a hybrid, yeah.
Yes,
Amazing.
yes. Right. Okay. When you know your level and you are in a better position to lead and influence your team, okay, that's the thing. And when you know your culture, you know where can you maneuver your business, where can we direct, lead our business. All right. Now let's go to the business leadership roles. I know that most have been talking on the survival of the cash flow. We are now talking about the whether we can survive for the next like 2-3 months, 6 months or not. I know the facts that the SME, the recent statistic came out that out of like nearing 1 million SME that we have, probably around 1 to 2% only that granted they managed to get the SRF, and meaning that many out there of our fellow SMEs, they're unable to get the financing funding. But unfortunately, we are not going to cover that here. But those who already have the lifeline of the no doubt that the cash flow is paramount here, but the right strategy, the right leadership roles, the right business culture is something that really determine where are we going, and are we going to sustain or able to sustain or not for the next 6, 12, 8 months down the road, or be relevant. You know, things are going very fast. Not just digitalization, actually. Digitalization is just part of the platform. AI is just part of the platform. I went to India. I think that things evolve very fast. Okay? And then they still consider the human values and elements in it. That is why the top brainers of the Silicon Valley came from India and Pakistan, but they can't really adopt that in India because of the readiness, because of the social, because of the employment issues and all, and then they have to preserve the distraction is not really entirely good, even though it is good, right? It does not solve all the problems. It's just a platform. It's just a platform. So typically, traits such as looking at this right up here, I put it here, your charismatic, intelligence, and ethical levels, or these can be sourced out. This can be like you can source someone to come in and do the problem solving. But then in these challenging times, it calls for greater commitment to resolve the problems. Okay, and then some of the qualities that we would like to discuss here, and this will be quite fast, I would say here. Okay, let's go through. The paramount is need to be a creative. Though most of the professional business are more into the regulatory driven. So we apply to certain standard we have to follow. But then we, by nature, we are a business. We are an entrepreneur. That's nature. And then being creative is very paramount. It's very important for business survival. Right? These are the 4 elements: creativity, innovation, and the correlation with the entrepreneurship. So these 3 elements is directly correlated. It is very important. Okay? Entrepreneurship need to have the creativity and innovation. Like it or not, we need to have this, especially to face the present challenging situation here. Creative, I'm not saying that creative being creative breaking the law. No, creative in positioning ourselves to continue and remain relevant in the business. Sustainability is there, right? Okay, you may read this. This one is the interesting part is actually, unfortunately, I would say, including myself here. Okay, I don't know. Probably some of you tend not to agree with me. Okay, but this is studied by the DI Entrepreneurship Institute in India and the Babson in US. So when I was there, so memang they are study their creativity that very much associate with the age. So as and when we grow wiser, okay, the more age, the wiser we are, the less creativity we are. Okay, let's reflect to our kids or our grandkids. Those who age like 5, 6, 7 years old, you give anything, they can play with anything, they can visualize with anything, they can turn anything into something, into anything, because the creativity, there's no limit, there's no boundary. They just do it. They just do it within the limitation, I would say, within the limitation. So age very much plays a role here. So if you were to reflect to our business practice, it tells us something that we need young people to be in a team. If you were to ask me, I would say that we need the young people to be in our team, and we need to highlight those people. We need to give them opportunity and chance, because they may create wonders. They may bring some ideas, we need to give room because they have this creativity. And reflecting, there's another column here is that the creativity against the when you start to be more when we are more expert, become more expertise. Uh, when we talk about professional, there's none other than expertise. You're expert in financial reporting. One is expert in drafting a plan, drafting the whatever it is, or lawyers expert into some expert. When you start to go into this correlation, we come to a station where the creativity drops. That is normal as well. So that is why the culture in the company, the culture in SME, the people that we have to, we have no choice but to embed this culture, especially during facing the crisis time, right? The creativity, the need to be creative. So you don't have to reinvent the wheel. The objective is just to remain relevant. So that requires creativity, right? Okay, let's go for the next. Okay, the next is actually the need to be honest with the team. The need to be honest is very important in the proper context, definitely, because employees, they will be more responsive when the leaders start to openness and being honest with the team. They start to think outside of the box, or think outside of the another box in solving the problems. Okay, leaders need to be sensitive here because in SME, usually, including myself, we tend to micromanage because we are a small setup, I would say. That is normal, but giving rooms not to be too sensitive or overdo, we may get some very good inputs from our team. Eh? All right. The need to be honest here, I put a mind gym here. So if we were to have more time into normal classes or workshop event, the mind gym, I need to be honest in. I think we put up an emulation of from Muhammad, Prophet Muhammad, the most number one influential person in history. Right? He emulates strongly these values. Okay. Then the number two is be empathic. Okay, empathy to definitely is to our team. Okay, the employees need to feel belong as part of the bigger or smaller organization. Empathy is about to listen to them, to get the feedback to them, especially during the crisis as well. Rope them into discussion, not necessarily take all the opinions, but then they know that at least they know that we are there for them and their opinions are being valued. We appreciate that. Okay, that will make us more. We don't want to have that the situation of the COVID itself giving us a big pressure. That's for sure. And they come back to the office, the team also like not helpful. They feel insecure. They don't feel that we are helpful. They don't feel that we really care for them. What will be their future next? Even though that will be the worst case scenario, that decision has to be made. Unpopular decision has to be made, but they know that that decision be made with their duly care, with full empathy. Right? I put a mind gym here, Gandhi, the economic justice. You may want to read into this because he advocates strongly on this, the economic justice by Mahatma Gandhi. Mahatma Gandhi partly be empathic in organizations. Okay, and be decisive to make decision. Be bold enough, be decisive to make decision based on the information, based on the facts and figures, based on the really in-depth analysis that we make. I have involved once in 2015, 2016 in one of the largest conglomerates, one of the largest conglomerates. We involved in part of the consulting job where when they start to make a decision to lay off the staff, they lay off a couple of thousands of staff. But without the proper due considerations and depth analysis, they end up firing those who are in critical position, critical who are associated with the safety of the function. And they give a very bad reputation and institutional void, I would say, on that. So be decisive is very important. If you want to have this kind of mindset, you may want to read the Mind Gym, I would say, digest the Kenichi of my books, the mind of strategists. He is very strongly advocate in this. His approach is more on asking why, and they start to make a decision. This is more, Kenichi is more Japanese, Sun Tzu, Art of War. He is more that you may read interesting book, a very heavy reading, and good luck to you on this, right? Okay, and the fourth one is when we have all the information, we have to project confidence to our team whenever we deal, we discuss, especially during this crisis, because project confidence means that the project, the certainty, even though during the situation is still fluid here, but then we confident, we have to be optimistic. What else do we have here during the crisis rather than hope? I still remember in 2008, in 98, I was in the market. Then what else do we have other than hope? And the hope that we have, and the hope and hard work. So this, the team has to understand, the team has to feel this, the project confidence from the business leaders itself, or else who else? They will start to gather all the negative news out there, and it won't be a very good environment to work with, especially during the present situation. And the next paramount one is actually definitely is communicate. Okay, we need to communicate clearly with all the stakeholders. Information has to be timely. I would say we don't have to be the first, but we always need to engage to ensure that all the stakeholders know where are we heading, and what do we need, how far, what have we done, and then what are the efforts that we have taken. Right? It has to be clear, concise, and timely. No point of us doing all the works back room there, but no one knows that what we are doing. It's no longer like Hindu heroes done a film here. It has to, all the parties, stakeholders have to do. It has to communicate well. What we see here is on the macro perspective, like what the government is doing. They make use of the Twitters, make use of the Facebook, make use of all the media and platform, because they want to ensure the communication done on the timely and accurate manner. Take, for example, gratitude goes to the Ministry of Health in updating the COVID-19 crisis. So those are the one of the outstanding situations that we have. Right? Leadership at workplace pointers. These are the things that I would like to stress on. We have few pointers here. We are almost there, actually. Okay, we have to be leaders at the workplace. We need to do like more on open communication, do more on coaching approach. Coaching will you know, like we get the best from our people, actually. Coaching approach. You need to do more than what you are doing today.
Mr. Faisal, are you still there?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
You listen to me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, all right. Okay, do more. And the empowerment, and then do the continuous learning with your team members, right? Rope in the team, definitely that's very paramount. Then last but not least, I would like to leave with this quote by Klaus Schwab, the founder, executive chairman of World Economic Forum. Yes, I totally agree with this. It's okay to be small. We need be during the crisis, because it's not the big fish that eats the small fish, but it's the fast fish that which eats the slow fish here. Yeah, I put a hope here. What else do we have? And the hope comes with the hard work and efforts in order to face these crisis, right? Okay, Reda.
Yes.
I'm coming to the end here.
All right. Okay.
Coming about to complete here. Shall we take a question?
All right. Sure. There's actually I'm still waiting for the participant to give any questions. We haven't got any questions, so we're
Okay,
still
all right.
waiting. But
Okay.
you mentioned there's a lot of interesting points relating to your presentation today, and it's quite relevant to what we're doing now, lah. I mean, what do you think about the leadership now in Malaysia when the MCO happened? You know, in terms of all the business start to be locked down, not to lock down lah, movement control.
Alright.
So
Alright.
while the essential business is, you know, they can move like status quo or double, triple their profits, but the non-essential business at that particular point, it's quite a low point for them lah, because they are considered as non-essential. You know, they can't really move at the time. But Malaysia situation is not that bad because we are not locked down. Like other countries, like a total lockdown where you can't really go out and actually buy anything, including food and everything. I talked to some of the professionals; they feel very powerless. Like the whole world is shutting down on them. They can't do anything. Yeah. So in this sense, the question is, how can like you know, this non-essential business owners, they can start to take the leadership, starting from home to their family, to their community, or to their business. Do you have any things to share on that?
A little bit of experience here lah. I mean, the first thing is actually this is the unprecedented situation that we all of us, I would say, for the past like 100 years, we have two pandemics only. We have SARS, it's called SARS, it's actually in early 2000, and one is in Africa. So in this pandemic of within the 100 years, only one is early in 1990s. They did three times. So this is the one of the worst in 100 years, and the second worst in 100 years. So meaning to say that in terms of the risk mitigation and business mitigation crisis, we in any countries, because it happens quite concurrent. We see in Asia, Malaysia, particularly in Europe and US. So most of these countries have no proper contingency plan in terms of the ways to mitigate this COVID-19. And the countries, especially on the Ministry of Health, is doing a great job there, a great job, well done job on that. But coming back to the economy, I am representing associations that, unfortunately enough, that are involved in the engagement session with the Ministry of MITI. So we did put our inputs and inputs on the essential and non-essential services. Take it this way that on optimist side of it, we wanted the business to go, even in counting fraternity in the early stage, that we wanted the company to open up. Then when the government allows that in the later stage, the accounting fraternity to open up, because earlier we are not considered as essential services, part of our professional services. On the second month only, we are allowed to open. And then when we start to do survey to our member firms, not all the firms operate, because some
Faisal? Still there, Mr. Faisal?
they kind of follow up the payments. But then by allowing certain services back into the business, by allowing the certain sectors into the business, at least they can perform a very minimum operations, like to perform, to process some payments, to assist the clients in a way that's I still believe that the non-essential service are still not performing like 100%, even though it's allowed by the government. So we don't have the numbers there. We don't have the numbers. Then only the health, the Ministry of Health and the MITI we have say final say in the end. And I have to reserve a bit my comments on this actually.
Yeah, I wanted to dig a bit about what is your your research in the meeting. Yeah. So we have a question for Mr. Rashid Anwar Zakaria, which I will lead on. But before we go to his question, do you think that you know, I mean, like a lot of the business owners, obviously they have an IQ lah, kan? Intelligent quotient to do the business. At the same time, if they have staffing, like you said just now, empathy is quite important with the individual, which that one I will cover later about empathy. That's also a big issue in our business. But also emotional quotient is important. And also the other one that people have been talking about, AQ, adversarial quotient. They need to become very resilient.
Yes.
Adversarial quotient. But unfortunately, in Malaysia, like you said, it's true. Pandemic is only once. But if you look at other countries like that always have a problem in, earthquakes, their houses are always damaged all the time. So the mentality of resilience is always there already. Unfortunately, our mentality is we have not trained to be resilient because we don't go through the natural disaster in our country as big as other countries. So the question by Rashid Anwar Zakaria is, leadership resilience is key to survival. It is easy to just fall up and give up. Strong sense of survival and visionary mode need to be reminded from time to time. How do we create this sense of survival within our community of business right now? Because this is such a new normal, and a lot of people sort of like, feel a bit shocked, about this situation now. The ability to survive and also resiliency in the mindset.
Okay, that's a tough question. That's a tough question, I would say. Okay, it goes back to I would say, environment plays some major roles in the upbringing, the culture and the environment. You were saying just now, you quote on the example, like I would say, like Japan, for example, they are so used to be very resilient with all the natural disasters there. So they are more like they are more mindful into that. The resilience is very high, and they keep reminding them that the post-World War, what happens to them, and the community plays a major role in doctrine, I would say, doctrinization of the younger generations there. They play some major roles, and as compared to how we have in Malaysia here, the mood is way different. We are more complacent. I have an experience. I was in Japan, so of course the way they think, the culture is different. So I'm not saying that our culture is not good, but the resiliency. You made a point there in terms of resilience there. They have more stronger resilience, but I think should be able to cope with that because we have that experience once before. We have experienced once, but generation, how to educate, inculcate the younger generations or the business community, it is very it will create a huge backlash in the society, in any part of the world, because you are used to certain norms and you have to change. It is not easy unless digitalization. It is not the government change us. It is not the community change us. It is not the business change us. But is the COVID-19 change us now? That's why we go online, or else we never go online here. We refuse. We all go like training. We want to face-to-face training. We're going to go the on-site engagement. Now we have no choice because of the COVID-19. So the under pressure, people will move, people will change and adapt faster if under that desire, a dire situation that need to change. Without that, it takes time. It takes time. It
Yeah,
will take something, certainly.
yeah, of course. Yeah, that